She cannot give a mother's love, but will not give herself to hate. Caridwen gives her child to the water and the hands of fate. The sun and moon, the wheel within the wheel, turned many times. Through the misty veil, from the other world, two pairs of watchful eyes, Afagthi the ugly and Creroy the fair, watched their unwanted brother, taken by unlucky Elphin to his wife, to be his mother. "My father's men hate me for taking the horses to the poisoned river," he said, "so I went to the salmon nets. Bad luck can't last forever. I found him on a sealskin in the river, like a Celtic calf, and I'd heard a slave had escaped from the Irish on a sealskin raft. So I found a priest of the new god you love, to have him christened, and I'll tell you," said Elphin, "a wondrous sign came next. Just listen. As the priest poured the water, a song came to him, and he foretold that Shining Brow would be a bard and worth his weight in gold. 'Let his name be Taliesin,' said the priest, 'by the Lord of heaven and earth, and let it be said, God gave him a song on the day of his rebirth.' Chief Gwyddno, Elphin's father, wondered what to make of the lad. He asked Hennin, bard of his court, if the omens were good or bad. 'I could see in his eyes,' Hennin said, 'he is a gift from the world of faery. It was not for you, clumsy Elphin, to give him back to the son of Mary.' The boy looked into Hennin's eyes. The bard was silent, as if enchanted. The Arwen flowed. A song came forth the moment his lips were parted. He sang of drinking from the cauldron of Arwen and being chased away through many lives of many creatures, predator and prey. 'What does it mean?' asked the infant. 'It's the truth of your birth,' said the bard. 'The chase means a game we play by the Beltane fires under the stars. It means you were conceived at the Beltane feast by the Queen of May. A special gift for a special fate is a child conceived on that day. The cauldron of Arwen means you're to be a vessel of wisdom, of course. So let it be said this truth came to you in the first song your Arwen brought forth.' Gwyddno was doubtful. The ways of the bard, he said, took years to learn. 'What of today? No salmon in the nets. We have a living to earn.' 'You'll learn his value and greatness,' Hennin said, 'and he'll learn it too. Taliesin, I want you to learn and sing back to me what I now sing to you.' He sang of Caridwen, mother goddess, and her children, one dark and one bright. The boy not only sang it back, but understood it right. 'Mother Earth,' he said, 'we learn her wisdom by watching the sun and the moon.' Hennin stared at him, amazed he understood so much so soon. Taliesin was taken out by his new mother, tearful and afraid, and though he was gifted in music and wisdom, she taught him the Christian way. For 12 years Elphin prospered. His son grew strong, body and soul. At the end of his 13th year with the family, when the weather turned cold, Gwyddno passed, so they went instead to Maelgwn for the solstice feast. Every man in that court had a girl on his arm, from the highest to the least. The chief boasted, 'I've so much food for the winter, I shall grow fat, and my bards can summon the other world. What do you think of that?' 'It seems, Uncle Maelgwn,' Elphin said, 'I've prospered greater than you. I have only one woman in my hall, but she is faithful and true. And better to have one wise bard than 20 boasting clowns.' Maelgwn's welcome turned to anger, his smile to a frown. 'Only a chief may challenge a chief, only a bard may challenge a bard. Until your boasts are proven, you shall sit in chains and starve.' Maelgwn sent his son Hryn to test the virtue of Elphin's wife. Taliesin knew how she could escape, and ran for his life. Dressed the servant girl in her lady's clothes, and laid in her bed, and sent warning of Hryn's desire. So his mother fled. When Hryn cut off his lady's ring finger to prove his success, Taliesin ran to Maelgwn's hall before him, forced him to confess his failure, asking why a high lady's finger should be so rough. And Maelgwn raged again, but this was still not proof enough. The fact remains that chiefs and bards could only be challenged by equals. And Elfin's wife feared for her son, standing alone against Maelgwn's people. But his Arwen brought forth a sovereign song of such power and glory that she feared no more for a happy ending to her husband's story. I know who I am, I know who I was, I know who I will be. Taliesin, chief bard of the one true God, his Arwen lives in me. He crept into Maelgwn's hall, hiding in a corner like a tricksy elf, and saw 24 bards gather around their leader, Hennin himself. Taliesin played his fingers across his pouted lips, and bludrum, bludrum, bludrum spoke every one of the fellowship. Maelgwn raged, but Hennin spotted Taliesin's face. As he started to giggle, he was dragged from his hiding place. You've challenged the greatest bards in the land, fairy sprite, growled Hennin. What great wisdom gives you the right? Taliesin sang of what was and will be. His voice filled the room, and all that Hennin could reply was blurrum, blurrum, blurrum. Maelgwn silenced the bards and stood Taliesin before them all. And as he lifted his harp and sang, a great wind swept through the hall. He sang of Elfin's freedom, and he foretold Maelgwn's death. Elfin's chains fell from his feet, swept aside by Arwen's breath. When the wind died down, Elfin stood with his son, who set him free. But Maelgwn raged, Elfin, you've still no right to challenge me. For the sake of your bard, I will give you a chance to prove yourself against my 24 horsemen, true source of my wealth. Elfin put forward a boy from his land, on a poor-looking grey, the only horse he had, but Taliesin was sure they would win the day. He gave the lad 24 holly boughs on the morning of the race. Strike each horse that passes you, he said, and you'll see God's grace. When the prick of the holly leaves drove the other horses faster, the old grey tripped on a mound of earth and nearly threw his master. The race was stopped, and Taliesin claimed whatever the horse had found, for a heap of gold beyond all telling was hidden beneath the mound, and the greatest treasure, a round golden torque, the mark of chiefs and kings. Holding a stout holly bough for a staff, he gave Elfin the golden ring. Now, Maelgwn, challenged Taliesin, Elfin is richer than you. His horse has won, he may claim his prize. Now he is a chieftain too. Very well, a humbled Maelgwn said. But please tell me why. Why must I be challenged and ruined? Why must I soon die? Taliesin sang of dark days ahead, when all the people must have greater men than Maelgwn and his bards to earn their trust. It was his fate, the bard child knew, to stand with the High King, who would sail for spoils to the other world, and Taliesin with him. For he would be greater than old Gwydion, with all his powers, the enchanter who brought a princess to life from the flowers, whose enchantments brought forth an army from a grove of trees. The name of every plant Gwydion enchanted, Taliesin could see. One land, one king, chief of bards by his side against the flood. Is this the reason, asked Elfin, your heart beats with holy blood?